Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be teaching you how to cut and sew this lovely gown. So if you are new to my channel, kindly subscribe to my channel, like and share my video. So let's get started. So these are the materials that I'm making use of. So this is the Ankara fabric, this is the face, lining, of course my scissors, chalk and tape rule. So I'll first of all cut the down part. So our full length is 59 inches. So I'll take away waist length from it. So 59 minus 16, that's 43 inches. So I added 2 inches allowance to the down part length. So that's 45 inches. So I'm going to use 45 inches for the down part. So this is 45 inches. And after measuring the length, to know what you are going to fold for the breadth, so you divide your hip by 4. So hip divided by 4. So to determine the down wideness, so you can add +5 to it. So you can increase it if you want, but for me I added +8. So her hip is 42 divided by 2 divided by 4 is 10.5. So I added +8, that's 18.5. That's why I folded 18.5. So after folding it like this, so this for the front panel. So I'm going to cut out the back panel, so I will put zipper allowance. So this is how I'll go about it. So I'm going to fold it out. You measure your vertical measurement. So from that, this is where the waist is. You can put your tape like this. Our waist is 16 inches. So this will be ½ inch for zipper for seam allowance. So this is seam allowance from 16. So this hip area 24 is our hip length. You can make it a straight ruling. These are hip length. These are knee, half knee. The half length is 37. Half length is 37. Hip length is 24. So I've took out my vertical measurement. So this half length and this hip length. So from there, you measure from this point. You are going to divide your waist circumference by 4. So around waist is 33. So divide by 4, that's 8.5. So add 2 inches allowance to it, that's 10.5. So on a hip length, so our hip is 42 divided by 4, that's 10.5. 10.5 plus 2 inches, that's 12.5. I'm going to add 12.5 to it. So on the half length, you take away what you measure from. You just take away an inch from what you measure from the hip. So depend on how pencil you want it, how you want the fish shape to be. So some people can decide to take away 2 inches, but for this I'm taking away just an inch. So I took 12.5 here, so I'm going to take 11.5 inches just to achieve that pencil shape. So from here you are going to connect this to this and this to this, and from here I'll connect it to down of the down part, down of the dress. So I'm going to connect it, you can see, from waist to knee. So from the hip to knee length. So this is the knee length. So if you measure -1, so you know it will be something like this. Let me just chop it, but I'm not going to cut the south. You can see the shape. So but I'm going to cut this. So I don't want it to go inside too much. So this is what I'm going to cut. And from this place I'm going to connect it down. can see it. So from down part you measure 1.5 inches, then you cuff it like this. So after that, this side, don't let it to be sharp, let it to be curved, so you can shape it with your hands. If you have sewing cuff, you make use of it. You see. So this is what I'm going to cut out. I think we are good to go. The back, I'm going to leave 1.5 inches zipper allowance. So I've placed it on the mini cloth. So you can see this is what we just cut. So this is the outcome. You can see it. So I place it on the main cloth. So this 2 layers too. You can see it. So just make photocopy of it. Then leave zipper allowance 1.5 inches. So after placing it like this, then you cut it out. So you open the zipper up. So I'll set this aside. So I'll cut the other upper bodies. So for the upper part, so our half length is 16 inches. So I had an inch allowance, that's 17 inches. Since this is off shoulder, I'll start my table from 4. So I'll cut. Make use of a ruler. So to know what to fold, bust divided by 4 plus 4 inches. Bust divided by 4 plus 4 inches. So that's what I folded. So after that, I'll measure my length. So you measure, take your vertical measurement. This armhole, the upper bust. Upper bust is 8 inches. Bust point is 10 inches. Under bust is 14 inches. Our waist length is 16 inches. So this is where we're going to measure. So after that, you measure our bust span, and our bust span is nipple to nipple. So our bust span is 7 inches. So 7 divided by 2, that's 3.5 plus half inch seam allowance, that's 4 inches. So measure it on the you measure it on the bust point, on the under bust, and make a straight ruling. Measure it on the bust point, on the under bust, on the waist length, and make a straight ruling. After that, you are going to, this is the bust point, this is under bust. So on the under bust, you measure 2 inches. So one making is because of the our bust size. So if our bust size is lesser than 37, I'm going to use about, maybe I'll reduce the measurement. So for 32 to 34, 32 to 35 inches, so you use 1.5. So 36 to 41 inches, you use 2 inches, and 42 to 45 inches, you use 2.5. So our bust is 37 inches, that's why I'm using 2 inches. So measure 2 inches on the that bust. Measure 2 inches too on the waistline. Then you connect it, just make a straight line, make use of ruler. After that, from the bust point, you make a curve to the under bust like this. And see what I just did. So measure half inches here and connect it to, connect it like this, and see what I just did. Measure 1/2 inch and cut from the waist to bust point. So after that, so that you won't get confused, make this is the upper bust line where your armhole is. So if you want to use formula method, bust divided by 6 plus 1.5, you get your upper bust, the armhole line. So from here, you measure, we are finished, we are through with this part. So measure how wide you want your neck to be. So this is off shoulder. For this, I want mine to be 5 inches. So from here, I will connect, just take your horizontal measurement. Our bust is 37 divided by 4, that's 10 and that's 9.5. So plus 2 inches, that's 11.5. You shock it. Our waist is, so 33 divided by 4, that's 8.5. Plus 2 inches, that's 10.5. That's our round under bust measurement. Our waist measurement is 32. That's 32 divided by 8. That's 8 plus 2. That's 10 inches. So because we are taking out 2 from here, because we are going to cut out this part, we are going to cut it out. So you have to add it back. So the 2 inches that we put, we are going to add it back to it. So I'm going to add it 2 inches. So I'm going to add 2 inches to this too. So 2 inches to the bust area too. So I'm going to connect here to here. From the armhole, I'll connect it down to the waist length. So just make it straight really. So this is what I'm going to cut. So for the neck part, you measure just your bust part, you take away an inch from it, that's 3 inches. No, measure 4 inches for the bust part. So I measure 3 inches. 4 minus 1, that's 3 inches. So from that 3 inches, you connect a straight line to the bust point. So after connecting to the bust point, you measure ½ inch in and 1 inch out. So I'm going to measure ½ inch, measure 1 inch, just an inch. So you connect it to the bust point. So you can see the shaping. So after that, we want to make our armhole. This is the armhole line that we did before. So we make our armhole. So for the armhole, for the neck, for the neck width, I want it to be 5 inches. So measure your 5 inches. Because we are going to cut this out, this 1.5, 1 here, 1/2 here, so 1.5. So and we need you shock that 1.5. You shock it. So and you need an inch on both sides too for seam allowance. That's 1 inch. ½ inch here, ½ inch here. We want to sew it together. We are going to cut this out. So that's an inch, that's 1 inch. You add it to it before you now make your. From there you make your armhole cuff. You can see this armhole. So this is how to go about it. This is how to draft out off shoulder blouse. So let me quickly recap. So first thing you need to do, you measure your length. So when you are measuring your length, ensure that you take away before you start your taper. So this depends how low you want it. So you can start your taper from 4.5 or 5. But for this, I started my taper from 4 inches. So after you measure your length, so know the breadth, your bust divided by 4 plus 4 inches. So after that, you take your vertical measurement. I took out my vertical measurement. The armhole, this is 8, the upper bust is 8 inches. This upper bust also the armhole line is 8 inches. Our bust point is 10 inches. This is our bust point line. Our under bust is 14 inches. Our waist length then is 6 inches. 16 plus an inch allowance. So after that, we took our bust span. Our bust span is 7 divided by 2. That's 3.5 plus half inch. That's 4 inches. So we measure 4 inches on the bust point, under bust and waistline. We will glue it together. After that, we measure 2 inches on the under bust and on the waistline. We connect it. After connecting it, we make a curve from the bust point to the under bust. So after that, we took our horizontal measurement, the bust measurement, the under bust measurement, the round waist measurement. After that, then don't forget to add your seam allowance, and what you take care with, just add your seam allowance to it. After that, move back to the neck. From the neck, because you want it to come in, so you don't want the darts to be straight at the neck area. That's why we have to deduct 1 from the bust span. No, we measure 4 inches for the bust span. So on the neck here, I measure 3 inches, and I connect the line to the bust point. So on the neckline, we took half inch in, 1 inch out, and connected it to the bust point. Cancel the ruling. After that, because of the 1.5 inches, half inch and 1, that's 1.5, that we are going to cut out. That's why I added it back, and the half inch on both sides that for seaming allowance, so you have to add it back. You can see it. So this is the 5 that we measure. This is the neck wideness that I want to use. So this depends on you, or what you want. You can reduce it to be 4.5, 6. So the wider the neck, the off the blouse will be. So you want the blouse to be off. So you want it to be below your shoulder, so you have to increase it maybe so about 6 inches, or for a fat person. But for this, 5 inches is okay. But if you reduce this, that means the off shoulder will come out, it will be below your shoulder, so it will be on the shoulder. So for this, we measure 5. So after that 5, this is the 5 inches that we measure. That we took 1.5 that we are going to cut out, this 1.5 inches, and the seam allowance is 1 inches. That's why from this now, I make my curve. You can see this is my armhole curve. So that's how to go about this. So you can see it's very easy to draft out this half inch and draft. So we are going to cut it out now. So I'll follow the shortening. So this is what we cut. So for the neck, depend on how low you want it. So you can decide to cut the neck out now, or after cutting and sewing it, so you can now cut the neck. So let me quickly cut it out now. So you want to cut, so remember we started our tape from 4 inches. So from that 4 inches, you measure how low you want your neck length to be. So for mine, I want about 6 inches. So from there, I want to make a sweet out neck. Just make a curve like this. So I'm going to cut this out. So before that, let me cut out my darts. So this is the outcome. So notch the under bust part. This is the bust point. So and for the sweetheart, I'm going to cut this out. So this is what we have. So I'm going to cut the lining and the back. So let me quickly show you the back now. So this is for the back. Bust divided by 4 plus 4. That's what we are going to fold. So this zipper allowance, just take 1.5 for zipper allowance. From that zipper allowance, measure 5 inches. You know we measure 5 inches for the front neckline. So for the back neckline too, measure 5 inches. So from here you measure your bust point, your bust divided by 4. This is bust measurement. So bust divided by 4 plus 2 inches. But bust chest divided by 4, bust is 37 inches divided by 4. So that's 9.5 plus 2, 11.5. That's what we are going to chalk out. 11.5. So our waist length. So our waist is 32 divided by 4. That's 8 inches plus 2. That's 10 inches. So it had 1 inch allowance for that. So add 1 inch for that. This for that. So we are going to connect this. So for the practical measurements, so first of all you want to cut it out. So this is what I did. You know we started our table from 4 inches. So this is our armhole line, bust points, waist. So to draft out our that, to measure 4 inches. How do I arrive at 4 inches? That 4 inches is for nipple to nipple bust span measurement. So from that 4 inches, you make a straight line. So just make a straight line. These are bust points. You can measure about 2 inches up or 1 inch depending on how you want it. Then measure an inch up. So this is where I will stop my that. So I want to take out that. So measure half inch in, half inch out. So from there you connect it up. So that's how to go about it. So after that, just make your armhole cup. These are my armhole. So for the back, if you want the back to be straight like this, you can make it straight. So if you want to curve it, can curve it. For mine, just want to curve it. I want it to be as low as maybe about 5.5 inches. So I'm going to curve it like this. This is what the shape I want for the back. So let me quickly recap. For the back, you fold your cloth into 2. No, bust divided by 4 plus 4. That's what you are going to fold. Measure your zipper allowance. That's 1.5. After that, take your vertical measurement. Start your table from 4 inches. The armhole line, bust point, then half length. You don't need bust point. Don't need to measure bust points. Just your waistline. armhole line, bust line, and waistline. After that, measure, take your horizontal measurement, your bust measurement, divide by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance from the zipper allowance. Take your paper like this from the zipper allowance, measure your waist measurement, divided by 4 plus 2, then add 1 inch allowance for that. You add 1 inch for that. So after that, you take out your dart, 1 inch in, 1 inch out. So where you are going to stop your dart can come up from this bust point line, can come up by 1 inch. So that's all about it. And for the neck, measure 5 inches, because we use 5 inches for the front part. So I measure 5 inches horizontally and I cut it. So make your armhole from the neck to the armhole line, just cut it. So that's how to go about that. So you can open this up, and then you cut this out. So this is our armhole. So for the dart, I'm not going to cut it, I'm going to sew it like this. So you sew it separately, I'll sew it like this. So this is for the back part, you can see the shape. So that's it. So I'm going to cut out the lining just the same way as this. I'm going to part this. So these are the lining. You can see the lining. So just make photocopy of it. So I'm going to join this to this, and I'll join this to this part. So I'll do the same for the lining too. Just make photocopy of the cloth, the fabric that we cut. So I'll turn the back with lining so that it will be neat. So this is the back part. You can see it. Just I cut the lining just the same way. So I'm going to turn the lining, and I'll turn. So I cut the lining for the down part. So I'm going to turn the fabric, the main fabric with lining. So I'll show you the outcome. So I've done the bodice. So this is the front part. You can see the inside. This is the lining. So this is the back bodice. This is back bodice. So this is the down part. And this for the down part for the back. So I'm going to join this together. So this is zipper allowance. So I'm going to sew it together, right side facing the right side. So I will leave my zipper space and zipper allowance, and I will sew it down. After that, I will join the upper bodice with the down bodice. So I will sew the side and fix the sleeve. So this is the front panel. So I've joined it to the down part. So I want to use this. So just wait cloth. So I cut 20 by 60. So I fix it here. I sew it here and the other side here. So I cut the remaining one. I just place it like this, 20 by 60. So this is 20 inches. So 60 in length. So I place it on the cloth. I sew it here. I run pleating. You can see the pleating. After that, I cut the remaining one. So this is the remaining one. So the remaining one, you just take it like this, and I'll stitch it. So I'm going to stitch it down. Sorry. do it very well. I'm going to stitch it down, and it should be something like this. You see the style. So this is what we have at the end of this. So I'm going to do for sewing now. I'm going to sew the sides. So this is the back panel. So I'll sew the side and fix the sleeve. So I've finished sewing the gown. Hello guys, so if you find this tutorial helpful, kindly subscribe to my channel, like and share my video. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.